Today, I'm so honored to bring to you a journey from Amanda. We're going to be talking about ambiguous grief. You may not have heard that term before, ambiguous grief, but I know a lot of you have experienced ambiguous grief. Sometimes we see it when a parent or a child has left the relationship or the death of a loved one has never been confirmed. There are many forms of ambiguous grief. It's when there's no closure and you can't healthily grieve the loss of someone. Amanda has had ambiguous grief her entire life. Among other types of grief, this is the most prevalent in her journey. We also would like to talk about some disclosures. There will be some suicide warnings with adult content and the abuse, neglect in a child. In this video, you're going to see Amanda's journey. What were the physical repercussions? Was he in a wheelchair? Was he?
Yeah, he was so, a lot of it was his vision. So he couldn't see peripheral, to the sides or up and down. He could only see straight forward.
So now he's deaf and he's blind almost.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh,
Yeah.
poor man.
Yeah. And so that put it into a situation where he couldn't work anymore. And he could walk with assistance, but it was a lot of assistance. So it was basically sitting in a wheelchair or a chair. So my stepmom did the very best she could to take care of him. But most days, he didn't know who he was. He didn't know who I was. And during that time, it was very hard for her. And she made the decision that she did not want to take care of my brother, my sister, and I. And at the time, well, I was older. So, of course, she wouldn't be taking care of me because I was 21. But so she decided she did not want to take care of my brother and my sister because she felt like it was too much. And, I can respect that decision. But when I was reading through the journals, there was more. And you could feel it in the house as being more. So I found out that she decided to not take care of us because not us. I keep saying us, but my brother and my sister, mainly because of the drama with my mom. Because my mom was still she'd show up at the farm and be like, I have to see my kids, even though it was court ordered. She wasn't supposed to come see us. So she was breaking restraining orders, all of that stuff. And then still pulling my dad into court even years later, decades later.
Your mom clearly didn't have a grasp of what was going on.
Oh yeah. She had no grasp of reality at all. She had no way. And she'd make things up, and it was probably her thinking something happened when it really didn't. So that's the challenging thing with her is that she'd probably, to this, back then she even would make things up around let's see, I was married at the time, newly married. I got married really young. I got married at 21. Mm-hmm. So no, that's not true. Sorry. I got married at 18.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I was like, wait, I got married at 18.
Yeah.
Because my dad didn't want me to get married, so we had to wait until I turned 18. I forgot about that. But anyway, she would make things up that the relationship between me and my husband at the time was, more than it was, and that he was cheating on me. And I was like, what? Where is this even coming from? Completely untrue. She, had suicidal thoughts. I remember one time in particular about the time that so I'm kind of jumping around. Sorry.
That's okay. So if she was doing this to you, I can't imagine what she was doing to Randy, to your dad, and to his wife.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there's no love there, right? There's just pure
illness.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Did she ever later get a diagnosis? She sounds schizophrenic to me.
Well, so they would say she was bipolar, schizophrenic, and then they would say she's bipolar, and then they would say that she's just depressed. I don't know if she ever got a diagnosis because unfortunately there was a point that I had to cut her out of my life for my emotional safety.
We'll save that for a minute.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Dad.
Yeah.
Because that part is, I'm so fascinated by that. And I just really want you to, I don't want to skip over that grief. That is something that's super important for you to tell. So then he's now at home, you're in these journals, you're finding out that she doesn't want to take care of your siblings. Let's go back to that.
Yeah. Yeah. So of course, when I was reading the journals, I didn't know, but so if she didn't want to take care of her siblings, or my siblings, then it was me. Yeah. So at the age of 21, I took on my sister, who was 18 months younger than me, and my brother.
What did that look like? Did they move in with you? Did you move in with them? Did you move out to Fairfield? How do you take them on?
Well, so the church, the we couldn't move into Fairfield because
Okay.
that home was owned by the church.
Yes.
And my dad was about to lose his job, most likely. And so they moved in with me. We were living in Goshen at the time, me and my husband at the time, in this teeny tiny 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house. And so they moved in with us, which at the time they were sharing a bedroom, and they were a boy and a girl. And my mom, of course, started in on well, they need to live with me, started taking me to court, and all of those things started to harass me. And, I still continued with the visitation orders as the court had laid out. So I would drop, my sister at the time was old enough to not have to go to a visitation, but my brother, I would have to take him there. And it was so hard because like I was supposed to be his parent, but I was his sister.
Yeah.
And I was supposed to protect him from this stuff, but the court was requiring him to go. And so I would have to go and drop him off there and just hope that when I picked him up, he would be okay. So he got to the point, I mean, I think through all of this, he's the one that probably had the most emotional pain through all of it because he was the youngest. He had to he was forced to be there when he was so little.
Yeah.
So I was a parent to my sister and my brother, who was 10 years younger than me. We did that for, gosh, I don't remember the amount of time. But I do remember my mom harassing us to the point where it was like we newlyweds, me being 21, my ex was 23 at the time. We were both working. Like we had to go buy a house, like so that they could have separate bedrooms, because I did not want my mom to be the one who was taking care of my brother and my sister. I just knew that just was not good for anyone. So we ended up buying a house in Eureka. They got their own rooms. Like we took care of them the best we could at the age of 21 and 23.
Yeah.
I'm sure we made mistakes along the way, but basically when my sister turned 18, I think she moved out on her own. And then my brother was, it was hard to raise my own brother.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. And he had so much emotional pain.
Yeah.
That I just didn't know how to deal with it. My ex-husband didn't know how to deal with it. He also had ADHD at the time.
And there's a lot going on when you're 18 and a boy. Your hormones are just going wacky, and I can't even imagine what you had to cope with.
Yeah, well, he wasn't 18 at the time. I would say he was about 10 or 12. So when those emotions really start to kick in is when he moved out. And it was a situation where we were going to a counselor to try to make things better in the house, because it was a lot of just normal kid stuff of like not wanting to clean his room, doing bad in school.
So he was only 10 at this time.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how much I keep forgetting how much younger he was.
Yeah.
Oh, little guy.
Yeah, he was the baby that was going to save the marriage, unfortunately. So I shouldn't say that, but that's what it was. So we're living in Eureka at the time. He's about 10 years old. Things are not going well. There's just a lot of like fighting and frustration in the house. And really I think it was him not knowing how to emotionally get through the stuff, us not knowing how to help him. So we go to a counselor, and the counselor, and this is kind of the reason I have a hard time with going to counselors, is he said, you need to make a contract with him. So, us adults, me and my ex-husband, need to make a contract with a 10-year-old on his attitude and things that he needs to do to be able to stay in your house. And I was like, okay, this seems weird, but you're a counselor, so I'm going to trust you. Interesting. And so, of course, that contract, we negotiated it like during one of the counseling sessions, I remember. And I was like, I don't know if this is the right thing, but I don't know what else to do. In my head, that's what I was thinking. Well, of course, my brother wasn't able to follow the contract, which, like, as I think back on it, I'm like, gosh, I should have known better. But I never had kids before. I didn't know, trusted the counselor. And so we were like, what are we supposed to do? Right. And the counselor was like, well, because he's not following the contract, you need to find another place for him to live.
It was like you were setting him up for failure.
Yeah. And I didn't know that at the time.
Yeah.
I didn't.
And that's okay. Live and learn. But
Yeah.
it's hard.
Yeah. So I called my aunt and I was like, he can't live here anymore. So we need to find a place for him.
Is this hard for you?
It is really hard because I feel like I caused some emotional stuff with my brother because of that and my sister. But I've had to forgive myself because I didn't know any better.
Sure.
I was trying to do the best that I could at the time. Like if I was doing it now, of course, I've parented my own kids and I've, gone through life, things would be different. And I would have told that counselor, this is a really bad idea. We're going to go to someone else. So
have you had a chance to talk to your brother or your sister about any of this? Specifically your feelings on maybe even just your brother, like about this one specific topic, like that counseling session. It never sat right with me. I wish that didn't go that way. Have you ever said that to him?
So sometimes, so my sister has kind of distanced herself from the family for her own reasons.
Of course.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
And I think she lumps me into that. And so we don't necessarily talk. We talk, when there's like funerals or stuff like that, and I try to be the sister and be loving, but I think that there's too much hurt there that she hasn't worked through. Mm-hmm. And so for me to sit down and have a conversation with her is
exactly why she's avoiding you.
Yeah, exactly. But, yes. Yeah. I think that it would not go well with my brother and sometimes my sister when they ask about specific events and I may have been the cause of the events or around the events. I always try to explain what happened. And then if there was a shortcoming on my side, like apologize for it. But my brother has nothing but appreciation for me.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. But we don't necessarily, it's challenging because he's former military. He's got PTSD from the military. He's got all the childhood stuff from my mom. It's challenging for me to sit down and say, hey, let's talk about some bad stuff.
Yeah. That makes more sense now that you say that.
Yeah, because it triggers his PTSD.
Absolutely.
And sends him into, mental
spiral effect.
stuff. So what I've decided to do is just like when they're ready to talk about it, then I try to give them space. And even if they're angry at me, I try to give them that space to talk about it. But it was really cool. My brother, it was this Mother's Day because my kids are living with their dad. And I was staying at his house watching his animals because he was hunting. He actually came home a day early and like walked through the door. I was like, why are you here? It's a day early. And he's like, well, it's Mother's Day. And I'm like, oh, I forgot. It's Mother's Day. And he said, well, I would just like to chill with you today. Like, what do you want to do? And I was like, why? Like, why? I'm your sister. And he's like, you realize that you're my mom, right?
That's so sweet.
And I was just like, oh my gosh. But part of me also is like, why can't we just be brother and sister? Like we don't have that type of relationship, which is, I feel like I grieve that.
Yeah. You were robbed of that.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. Cause I would love to just like, hey, let's just be brother and sister and hang out and let's not have all this heavy stuff around. So,
but at the same time, I'm really touched that he puts that special spot in his heart for you as a mother role because you did fill that role for him. So I have to just give him props for that.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate it. But I've got my own stuff and I'm just kind of angry and I know I need to work through it, that I didn't have a chance to just be brother and sister. Or I didn't have a chance to, like when everybody, you see families like hanging out and they're just like talking about how mom and dad were, like silly because of certain things. Like I just, like we don't have that piece of it. And as I get older, it just gets more and more frustrating at the fact that like, we just don't have that.
Yeah. Those memories don't exist. Some memories don't exist for you at all. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So let's move to, let's go back to your dad. Where is he now?
So my dad died about 15 years ago, I think it was, which was a blessing because he was in a wheelchair, didn't know who he was. Sometimes he thought I was my mom, which was really hard when I'd go and visit
Oh
him.
my gosh, I bet.
Yeah. And so he passed away, and I've got a lot of grief around that, mainly because he had been struggling with his health for months. And my stepmom kept it to herself. Didn't tell anyone. Didn't call me when he was dying, and she called me after he had died and passed away in his house on hospice. So I had the opportunity to go and talk to him and have a conversation with him before he passed away. It just she didn't give us the opportunity for that. But the phone call was very, very cold, I'll call it. She just said, "Your dad passed away last night in his sleep." And this was like 5 p.m. the next day. Um, and they're coming to get him. And I was like, "What?" She's like, "Can I come and see him? Like how long is this?" Like it was just a lot of like confusion. And I knew that there was something going on, like that whole intuition, higher power thing.
Yes.
Like it just, I even had taken the day off of work because I was so stressed about something and I just didn't know what it was. So I was like, I need to take the day off of work, just decompress, like figure out what's going on. And, she
Something's
called
up.
me. Yeah. Um, and so, of course, at the time, I had both my kids with me, and I needed to find somebody to watch them, because I couldn't take them over there. Like their grandpa had passed away. So my oldest actually was in Cedar City with his aunt doing a Olympics thing with bowling. And my youngest was with me, and gosh, how old was he at the time? Maybe 5. And so I was trying to find somebody to watch him because I was like, I can't take you to go see my dad, and like they're coming to get him. I don't know what that means. So anyway, I ended up taking him over to his grandma's house, his dad's grandma, or sorry, his dad's mom. And I just remember, like, he didn't hear me talk about my dad passing at all. And I dropped him off, and he said, "Mom, I think your dad's dead."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, how do you know that? How do you know? And he's like, "I just have a feeling."
Oh.
Like he came to me, and I was like, "What?"
Isn't it odd when children do that to us?
Yes. Yeah. And I was like, "What do you mean?" And then he's like, "I don't know. He just came to me and said everything's going to be okay." And then, so of course that got emotional, but
And now you don't just get a glaze over that.
no.
I just want to ask you a question. This may be hard to answer, and if you can't answer it, that's okay. But if you could go back and you could have had that time with your dad, maybe when he was on hospice or even had some time to care for him, what would that have looked like for you? Would you have gone and helped do some final care for him?
Yes, I would have, because, part of love languages is active service.
Yeah.
And being able to tell him that he was a good dad and that he did a good job and that I loved him.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have a chance to do any of that stuff. So yeah, I would have been there, and it would have been really hard, but I think it would have helped me process things differently
I think so too.
than just a sudden, okay. And it was now your dad's passed, now you need to take care of all this.
Mm-hmm.
And she was very distant and not wanting to plan the funeral or anything. And so the other challenge with that is my family, his brothers and sisters, were coming to me saying, "Why didn't you tell us? Why did you do this?" He was cremated as well, and that's completely against the LDS religion. And so they were, frustrated about that and asking me why I didn't let them know. And so I had all of that drama going on at the same time.
Were
And
you able to explain that you had no idea and
yeah,
advocate for yourself?
yeah, but some didn't
Wasn't
want
good
to
enough?
listen.
Okay.
Yeah, just saying some. I mean, I know they were hurting, But some of the things that were said were, pretty uncalled for. Like I wanted to ask my aunt, one of the things she said, like, would you have asked your kid that, if your spouse had just passed away?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I really wish I would have been there. And death is a scary thing to watch. But to me, I've been there when my grandma passed on my dad's side. I was there helping when my grandpa passed on my dad's side. And it's a situation where you just get that closure as opposed to the guilt of not being there for someone that you loved in their last hours.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I do feel like I wish things would have went differently, but they didn't. So,
Yeah.
so now, with that, I still grieve. Like, I don't think I fully grieved my dad's death until my kids moved out. And I had the time, because I was a single parent, I had the time to process. And I still have not processed a lot of it. Like, he still doesn't have a headstone. I'm still in the process of trying to set that up because I just sometimes don't have the mental capacity to deal with it, right? So it was a lot. And I think because I was kind of shut out of it, it was hard to process. And I feel like I'm repeating myself, but
You're not. I can relate to that. My mom doesn't have a headstone. She died several years ago, and it's just there's a lot. And part of it's like, why does all of that fall onto me?
oh yeah.
Why is all of that my responsibility? Like, where was her husband? Where was her family? Like, there's just a lot that comes with it. So I can kind of understand where you're coming from. And that is kind of the final closure to putting a headstone on somebody's grave. I talk about that often in the hospice world. So there's just some closure that comes with that. But I understand what you're talking about. And so I just want you to know that it's really hard to talk about the death of the passing of a parent. So thank you for sharing that with me. And as far as your mother and stepmother, it's really hard to hear how she handled that. I always don't want to insert an opinion, but it's hard for me being in the hospice field and hearing, because being in that field, I always want to reach out to the siblings, the children of the people. I always try to get them involved, and you never know what that person is saying. Oh no, they can often say, oh no, they don't want anything to do with him. You never know what's being said, but on the hospice side of things, it's often like, let's get the children involved, let's get them here. So you never know what happened. It sounds like there may have been some depression on her end, and I'm not defending her because I'm quite frankly, my opinion of what happened is very harsh, and I don't want to say that, but I don't appreciate what she did on her end at all. I'm very icked out that she didn't involve you.
Well, I mean, she had her own mental illness. She was suicidal. She was
Oh, was she? Okay.
she was addicted to pills.
That makes way more sense.
Yeah, so she was not mentally stable enough to.
Because it sounds like she ostracized everybody from what was going on, and that was very unhealthy.
Yes, she did. And, after she passed away on her, she took her own life, she kept journals, and I went through them because I was like, I need to know why I was cut out of that.
Okay, so she took her own life.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so
there's a lot.
It is a lot. So after your father passed, how soon after did she take her life?
It was probably about 10 years, but she was never the same. She was, instead of dealing with things, she just took medication and would sleep for days. I honestly think that she had a lot of the same traits my mom had.
Sure.
And so the relationship with her was not great between me and her, and like even my brother and my sister. And I think that's probably because like you can only have so much trauma in your life from a mother figure. So I think I would say she died when she was still living, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Which is challenging in its own because you want to be there for someone, but when they don't want you there, like, well, you can't force yourself into the situation. So, um, plus if you're triggered, like, it's really
Yeah.
hard.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't like a situation where she'd want to sit down and like have a conversation about things. It was, well, do you remember when you did this as a child? Like you were a horrible child.
Ugh.
Yeah. And it was like, I was a teenager dealing with a lot of emotional baggage. And yeah, I did some pretty crappy stuff, but at what point do we start forgiving each other?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was one of her downfalls, is that there was not forgiveness.
Sounds like she had zero growth and she was really stuck in using at the same time. So,
Yes. Yeah.
and there was a mental illness involved.
Yes. Yeah.
It seems to me like your father brought in some very mental ill women in his life.
Yeah. I think that was, I don't know, a fatal attraction or something. I'm not sure why. I think he wanted to heal people.
Mm.
He wanted to heal these women, I'll call them,
Fix them.
Fix them. Yeah.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, you can't fix someone. They have to be able to fix themselves.
Yeah. So tell me what that process, now that she's gone, and did she have a funeral? Did you attend that funeral? What did that look like for you?
So that was pretty challenging too.
I bet.
So she committed suicide in her own house. I was contacted because she still had some of my dad's stuff.
Mm.
And so her niece called me out of the blue and said, do you want to come and get some of your dad's stuff? And I was like, what? That's weird.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean my dad's stuff? And
Yeah.
she's like, well, Chris, it was her name, has passed away. And like, there's a section of her hoarding. She was a hoarder as well. Super clean hoarder. Like everything was really, really organized. But there was like this section in the back of her garage that she had created for all of my dad's stuff. Instead of letting it go or just throwing it away, like it was this memorial to my dad, which was very challenging to see as an adult.
Oh, I can't even imagine, Amanda. Like,
Yeah.
what that would. It must have sent you into a different space.
It did. So I was happy to get the stuff from my dad, but she kept things like the day of the accident. She kept a receipt from a grocery store.
Yeah.
She kept everything that was in his pockets of the day of the accident. She also kept some of the things that from his death that I didn't want to go through, like his fake teeth and the watches, and some of it was good to get. Others, I was just like, this is pure. And I mean, I hate to put the word craziness on it, but pure craziness that you would take and organize all these things and keep them for 10 something years. And then I was like, oh, let me be helpful and help work through this house of hoarding.
Yeah.
And then I just got angry.
Yeah.
I got really angry. And I realized, you know what? This is not my responsibility. I need to just take my dad's stuff and I need to leave. And I don't think her family understood that. And I wasn't like, my anger wasn't like outward toward anything. It was just angry that she had held so many things away from us.
Mm-hmm.
And now I had to go through all of them to find the stuff that was my dad's. Like, what? Like, I don't understand that. And so there were several boxes of stuff.
Any treasures?
Yeah, some pictures, some older pictures. So I actually had, so my dad's dad died when he was really young. And there were some pictures that for some reason my dad had of his dad that none of the family had seen.
Wow.
So I showed my aunts. I'm like, hey, look at these pictures. And I wasn't sure who it was. I said, is this my grandpa? Like my birth grandpa? And they said, yeah. And I've never seen that picture before.
Wow.
Like, where did you get it? There were 2 or 3. And so I made copies of those. And then just, a lot of pictures of my dad with my brother, like on the tractor, and like my grandma and my dad dancing, like those sort of things that I wished I would have gotten when he was alive or when she was alive, but happy to have them now. But it is hard to go through those boxes of stuff because there was a lot of stuff that like her journals that I was like, do I go through these? Do I not go through these? So I did keep those boxes for a little bit of time, just trying to figure out like what do I throw away? What do I keep? And
I'd be tempted to read the journals just to go into the mind of this woman.
well, I did it because I wanted to understand why things happened the way they did.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm probably the same thing. And then I started to realize, oh, she's got mental illness
Yeah.
issues too.
Mm-hmm.
And then that she had even kept some of my mom's stuff. And so I was able to read some of my mom's stuff, which was like, it was challenging at the time, but it helped me heal because I understood more of what my mom was going through.
Mm-hmm.
And just like, I remember one paper was like, it was just so chaotic. And it was her trying to, like, a counselor was trying to get her to journal her feelings. But on the page itself, there were like numbers that were out of order. And then there was like swirls and weird pictures. And there was a started story that was all
So
over the
schizophrenia.
place. Yeah. And then it was like backwards writing. And I was just like, oh my gosh, if this is her brain every single day,
Yeah.
like how was she able to be a mom? And then I realized she did the best that she could. So it was very, very healing to find that stuff, both on my stepmom's side and my mom's side, to be like, oh, and I, of course, have done, my mom journey. So I understand that, sometimes you show up your messy self. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like I'm getting off track here.
That's okay. So you pick up these boxes, you go through, you find these wonderful treasures, and you find some closure.
Yeah.
How long after this has it been now? And where are you now with your own mother's journey?
Yeah, so that one's, I would call it that living grief. I know when we talked and I reached out to you, you said, "Oh, there's this thing called living grief," and like 3 words, and I was like, "Oh, I know what it is. I have that." So it's hard because people ask me, "Oh, how's your mom? Where's your mom?" And I have to say, I haven't talked to her in 20 something years.
Okay.
She is the ward of the state.
Okay.
She's being taken care of.
Just so you know, and for people who don't know this, it is one of the hardest things to become a ward of the state. When people come to the hospital and like try to drop off a family member because they don't want to take care of them, it's almost impossible to become a ward of the state. So for you to explain this to me, that she's a ward of the state, tells me so much more about your mom. She must be extraordinarily mentally ill, Amanda.
Yeah.
To be a ward of the state.
Yeah.
Just that tells me a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know what that process looks like because
it's almost impossible.
Yeah. One of my aunts probably had to do that for her, but she really had every possibility to become semi-normal, but it was just the suicide and the physical abuse and emotional abuse of the people around her, where it's just like they couldn't take care of her anymore.
Yeah.
And then of course there's the cost of mental hospitals, which she was in and out of those.
Sure.
But yeah, she's a ward of the state. She's in Bountiful, is my understanding, in a nursing home because she's older now. I know I have a half sister that goes and visits my mom. And like part of me wants to go and visit my mom, but the other part of me is like, I don't know if I can do that and be okay in my life. So, I mean, it's like at least once a year, sounds morbid, but I just look up and I'm like, okay, like, has she passed away yet? Is she still alive? But I can't open back up to all of that trauma and actually like go and see her, which sounds very heartless, I'm sure. But if someone's been through it, I think they can relate to the fact that like there's only so much toxic you can have in your life and be able to function on your own. And my goal is like to break that generational, those issues and to continue to have it in my life with my children. There was just no way that I was going to be able to function. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So my understanding is that she's still alive. She's being well taken care of in a nursing home where she needs to be. And when she does pass, I plan to reach out to my half sister and build a relationship with her. But I don't feel like I can do that when my mom is alive because I feel like a lot of times from people that don't understand, they put a lot of guilt on you for not being around for a parent. And so that's kind of my plan. I know I've kind of had to estrange myself from my, aunts and cousins on that side as well, because they would always try to facilitate that relationship. And I know they were doing it out of love, but there's a point where you have to love yourself enough to not go back into the chaos. So that's where I'm at on that.
You sound so wise. I wish you're a perfect model. I'm so honored that you've been able to share this story. I love a couple things. I love that you have a boundary, and the boundary is that I can no longer accept toxicity in my life. And for whatever reason, when this person is in my life, this person has such an impact on me that it derails me. And I love to hear that, because this is not just a person like, oh, we were once friends. This is your mother. And a mother is, the matron of your family. And this person has done something so heinous to you that it's affected you in a way that it continues to break you over and over. And you can't keep it together when you're in this relationship with this person. And so for me, it sets the ultimate example of what, like, I had this conversation with a couple people, a couple chaplains, and there's a split down the middle in society right now that we should not estrange from our parents. It's just a big no. It's a taboo. And then there's the other kind of younger generations like, absolutely, cut these people out of our life if they're toxic. But I think in your situation, it's an exception, because we're dealing, and mine is an exception too. My mother was a paranoid schizophrenic bipolar who was extraordinarily mentally ill and toxic. And there were times when I had to cut this woman out of my life. But it wasn't because I didn't love her and she didn't deserve to be loved. She deserved to have support and love, which, like your mother, is getting as well. A staff is taking care of her. She's safe. It's not like we're saying we don't love them and they don't want to be safely cared for, but they are not welcome in our space because of what they do to us and our mental health and well-being. And I love that you can set that boundary. Curiosity is killing the cat. What is your siblings' relationship with her?
So they don't talk to her either. My sister still has a lot of hate towards my mom. My brother and I have forgiven her, because hating someone or having anger against someone really just makes it worse on yourself. And, my brother is in the same mindset of, she did the best she could as a mom. Yeah, it wasn't enough, and it wasn't a safe place, but she really did try. So when she was stable, there was love there, but it was, when's the shoe going to drop and it's not going to be stable anymore.
Yeah.
So, of course, my brother doesn't, we just don't talk about mom unless they ask about, traumatic things in their childhood that they're trying to work through. And it's really, really a weird situation, because when my brother was dating his now wife, she would ask questions about our family, and my brother and I'd look at each other and we're like, we don't talk about it, because it's badness. Like, if you want to hear the badness, then let's talk about it. But like, she would ask, tell me about your mom. Or, she asked my kids, like, tell me about your grandkid or your grandma, and they would talk about my ex-husband's mom. So that grandma, but they don't know my grandma, and they don't know a lot about my stepmom as their grandma. So it's just a different dynamic, and we just try not to bring up the past. I don't bring up the past, because the biggest challenge I had with my stepmom is she would always bring up the past but not want to solve anything. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to trigger my brother and sister. Mm-hmm. So I just wait until they ask questions about it. But I don't even know that they know that she's in a nursing home. Like, they just probably don't even know where she's at.
Sounds like you have an eye on where she is, and I think you want to know when she passes, and I think that you want that information just to know. I mean, because she's your mom, but I like that you have her at arm's distance in a safe space like that.
Yeah, and she'll be taken care of when she does pass away, because when her dad passed away, my aunt reached out to me over Facebook and was like, "Hey, I don't want to start any drama, but grandpa passed away, and there's some inheritance that we would like to give to you kids, because your mom's a ward of the state." And so out of that inheritance, which I thought was amazing, because I'd cut that relationship off and they still thought about us. That's very loving. But out of my portion of that inheritance, I said, take a portion of it for my mom's funeral costs.
Wonderful.
And then they said, do you want to be there? And I said, I don't want to be there, but I want to make sure she's taken care of. So there's money set aside to take care of whatever needs to happen that way. It's just, it won't be me that's having to do it, because I just don't think I could. I don't think I could. I don't think I mean, I would do it because you have to, but I would rather have someone else take care of it that's in a better headspace than I would be in that situation.
Let me ask you this. Will you go to her funeral?
So I've been asked to. I have a weird thing about funerals.
Don't we all?
I don't like to go to them because I don't know how to say this in a positive way.
Don't then, just say it.
So I feel like a lot of funerals are people that were never really around for the people that died, and they show up and they have all these, I should have done better. I should have spent more time. And I just don't like to hear that piece of it. Now, when it's direct family, I'll go to the funerals because I go there to support and then, also speak. But I honestly don't think I could go to my mom's funeral and have it be a peaceful funeral for me. I think it would be a lot of anger. And I don't want to bring anger into a space that's supposed to be peaceful. And so I don't think I would attend her funeral.
Okay.
And I've been
Fair
told, I told my aunt who helped with the inheritance that I don't want to be there, but just please make sure she's taken care of.
I respect the heck out of that, Amanda. Where are you at now with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? After all this has been said and done.
I'm sure I'm still a member because I've not done the whole process to take my name off the books, but I'm not active. Don't intend to be active. I practice just being a good person. I don't believe in a lot of the things that the LDS Church puts as standards. I think that the patriarchy is toxic and dangerous. So I respect people that are in the religion because it makes things easy in life to follow a certain set of rules.
Sure.
But it's not something that I want to follow in my life.
Yeah. So you never came back. It was just kind of something you walked away from and you stayed away.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I did. So after my divorce, I did try to find some level of religion. And I did try to go back to the LDS religion. And as a single mom or a person that's trying to go through a divorce, there's that same judgment. And what I realized I needed is a belief in a higher power and to learn to let go of things. So, I did give it a second chance. My kids did go to the activities, like when Scouts was sponsored by the LDS Church and like Boy Scouts and stuff like that. And I think that was good for them. But anytime that it went too religious, they would ask questions and I would answer them based off of, my understanding. And then I would say, you need to learn it on your own. So they're not LDS either, but they're still good people.
Sure.
We just don't follow the standards, I'll call it.
Well, you have a beautiful soul, so that's all that matters. How have you grown?
How have I grown?
How have you grown?
I feel like with all this grief, I'm more understanding when people are trying to hide their grief. So when everything's fine, everything's perfect, I can say, no, it's not. And okay, let's talk about it. I loved when I was interviewing with you for my speech at my school that I'm going to. Meet them where they are, right? I don't pass judgment, and I let them know that I'm there for them. And if you want to talk about things, let's talk about it, no matter how dark it gets. Now, I can't be like a counselor by any means, but I do support. So I'm in a group of single moms, and I support them through the grief of divorce and single parenting and all that kind of stuff.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So that's been very, very empowering to help them get through all of that.
Is that something that people can participate in? Is it an open group or a closed group?
Well, so here's the challenge with that group. When I started, it was Christian based. So I thought, okay, I can align with this because of the whole greater power, let things go. But as the group has morphed, I've been in it, I think this is my 4th year. They just sent out a mission and goal statement. And their standards are you need to follow the LDS religion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I just this week determine that I'm not going to be participating in their activities, I'll still participate with the women that reached out outside of the group and discuss things with them. But unfortunately, I need to find another group.
Or start one of your own.
Yeah,
You
that's
seem like a
possible.
huge light for
Yeah.
people. I love that you are willing to hold space for people, and you seem like somebody that has. I love that you're not judgmental at all. I
Yeah.
love that about you. And then my final question to you is, and you can take a minute to think about this. What do you want our listeners to know? If you have anything to say or any last final thoughts.
So the biggest thing is you're not alone and you can grow through grief. Just do your best to process it in a way that is productive and be okay with going through the feelings of it. And they're going to come in waves. So, and what I mean by that is if you've lost someone, you're gonna feel like you lose them during milestones in your life. And just be ready for those feelings and to work through those and not to hold on to them. So like an example of that is like when I got married, I didn't have a mom there, right? And that was hard. When I had kids, I didn't have a mom there. I didn't have a dad there because my dad was hurt at the time. But the not being alone part is the higher power part. And then also there's people around you that understand and are more than willing to like be there for you. Just let them be there for you.
That is amazing and well said. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you being here. Do you have any questions?
No questions. Just happy to help out. Hopefully this finds people and gets them in a better place.
Thank you so much. And if people want to reach out to you, if they have any questions, are you okay with me sharing your email?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Amanda. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.